Doing this. Carmen, let's talk a little bit about the legal requirements of certs. So they're typically specified by the purchase contract, right? If certs are required, that requirement is put in the part requirements.
In in some cases, certifications would be required by a specification or standard,
Okay.
especially in the aerospace world. In the commercial world, you're right. I don't have to give you anything
Okay.
unless you ask for it at the time of the order, not at the time of shipping or not after it's been installed or after it's failed, you know.
Yeah.
However, it does not preclude the requirement that you actually meet the specification requirements and have the data.
Of course.
The standard requires you to do the testing and have data available. Um, and just because they didn't ask for it at the time of the order doesn't mean you don't have to do the test.
Got it. Yep. That's also that's our understanding. So similar, I think similar standards apply in medical and in food and um, other industries. A question for you operationally. You talked about someone opens the box, they look to see if it's actually there. Um, how are certs used by recipients? Like, how do they actually check it? What's a typical process for a company that's receiving parts that come with certificates? What do they do with them?
Well, for the most part, they file them in a file cabinet, which whenever I see these lines of file cabinets, my head wants to explode. Whatever you know, they promised us a paperless office, and we didn't even get a less paper office. You know, it's just like more paper, and so they file them. And in some cases, depending on what you're manufacturing, if you're an OEM making your own product, you probably have some kind of ISO quality management system that requires you to
Yep.
have those certifications. If you're making someone else's product, you're a job shop, or you're making something for the military or the government, you're going to have contract requirements that you collect those and make them available. And they will be examined by a supplier quality assurance representative from the government, DCAS. It used to be
Hmm.
called Defense Contract Agency or something. And I've had many good and not so good experiences with these guys and girls, I guess, coming in. I'm ready to ship my part for the rocket for General Dynamics, and he comes in, and there's some hardware involved. And oh, by the way, that there's supposed to be a dash number on the part number. It's MS blah 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 dash 12,
Yep.
and there's no dash. It's a space instead of a dash, and he rejects it over that. And we have to go and get an amended certification. So those kinds of things do get looked at very closely, and they should get looked at very closely. So even though they do go into a file or they get scanned or whatever, at the top level where all this stuff really matters, a person from the customer is going to be looking at them and not just glancing. They will be looking at every single thing on that piece of paper.